what is workplace violence and understanding what qualifies as workplace violence so you can know how to implement this plan. It's defined as any act of violence or threat of violence that occurs in a place of employment directed at an employee. So key thing to note here is that it must be directed at an employee. Specifically, workplace violence includes use of physical force against an employee that results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in injury, psychological trauma, or stress, regardless of whether the employee actually sustains an injury. An incident involving a threat or use of a firearm or other dangerous weapon, including the use of common objects such as weapons, regardless of whether the employee sustains an injury. So injury is not required as an incident for an incident to be considered a workplace violence. However, any lawful acts of self-defense or defense of others would not qualify as a workplace violence incident. What is a threat of violence? A threat of violence can be any verbal or written statement that conveys an intent or that is reasonably perceived to convey an intent to cause physical harm or to place someone in fear of physical harm, and that serves no legitimate purpose. So even though there may not be an actual threat, but the standard is if it is reasonably perceived as a threat by the individual employee, it would qualify as a threat of violence. Threats can be verbal or written statement, and they can include text messages, electronic messages, social media postings, or other online posts, any behavioral or physical conduct, and includes a threat of physical force that results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in an injury. There are 4 types of workplace violence that the statute delineates. So the first type is an unrelated person with a criminal intent, a person who has no legitimate business at the work site, and this includes violent acts by anyone who enters the workplace or approaches workers with the intent to commit a crime. The second type would include of workplace violence by an individual with relationship with the business, such as by customers, clients, patients, students, visitors to the workplace. And type 3 would be worker-on-worker violence. So this would be by a present or former employee, supervisors, managers, or anyone who's employed by the employer. The fourth type would be personal relationship, a person who does not work but has or is known to have had personal relationship with an employee. Type of workplace violence must be recorded on the violent incident log, which I'm going to cover in a little bit. So when recording the incident, it must be recorded as falling in one of these 4 types of categories of incidents.